Thank you so much. I was just asking for a permission to stay a little bit longer since we're running a little late. So thank you so much for having me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So it's my honor to be with you today in the company of amazing panelists on this panel. And again, the topic is very exciting, localizing for global, winning the culture-first digital strategies. So the key points that we're hopefully going to be discussing today is the global brands today face a key challenge, how to remain globally consistent while driving local customization and resonate digitally to engage clients. The session will unpack the power of culture-first digital strategies, where local languages, traditions, and digital habits shape everything from content and campaigns to product experience. Excellent. So maybe let me start first of all with Karan, and you're on my left-hand side, so that's good. It's easy to start with, and maybe ask, why is culture first better than simple translation?
Perfect. Thank you, Mazin. When you look at culture first, especially whether we're looking at diversification, engagement, it's not just translating or adapting. It's actually more than that. You're looking at culture first, wherein we have to adapt content, create the right UX, UI. You also need to look at the right storytelling, which resonate with your brands, right? So it's not just about humor. It's not just about a basic translation, but it's all about engagement. To create an emotional connect with your core audiences, right? Because it's not only about just having your campaign out there, but it's also about having the loyalty and the trust that is to be built. Now, if I want to give you an example, an excellent example, a campaign that is done by Coke, it's called Share a Coke campaign. And it was a global campaign, but it had to adapt equally or engage equally with certain markets, right? Like, for example, Brazil. Brazil, they adore Coke. It's the part of their lifestyle. When you look at, and that was a different campaign altogether, but under the same brand name, Share a Coke. You look at Middle East, a different campaign altogether. Look at Asia Pacific. So that's where the whole gamut of things we put into, yeah.
Excellent, and thank you, Karan, for giving us the pivoting point, because I want to bring in Habiba. Actually, I'm going to switch, since you're the only second Arabic speaker on this panel. And with the culture that is as diverse as the Middle East, from different backgrounds. But again, Arabic culture is, and I love the fact that your AI is called Arabic.AI. Defining culture first. How do you define a truly culture first digital strategy? And what is the single most critical shift a global company must make to move beyond more translation?
Thank you very much, Mazin, and thank you everyone for attending. So basically, in order to start a cultural first digital strategy, I think people and companies should always think about people of the market that they are heading to. I think all companies, they definitely need to understand the habits and the everyday go-to markets that the people of their target market are doing exactly. Starting from their jokes, their humor, their norms, everything they do, and their purchasing patterns. After this stage, they can definitely start thinking about their campaigns. And global companies should stop treating local markets as receivers of their pre-built content for global contents in general, because this definitely is the opposite of penetrating a market. It concludes that localization will be only a translation, which is not a translation. Localization is totally different. And from this part, I think that global companies should practically start providing or actually giving more authority, more power, and enable the regional teams, regional marketing or content teams to take decisions, like real decisions, like campaign starting from scratch, things that not only regarding to translation approvals or passing things to a translation company. That's not truly right at all. So I think that's the major thing that people should start off. And that's actually part of what I do. Like, I work at a company that started by the name of Tarjama. Who knows Tarjama means translation in Arabic. So the company started as a translation company and then shifted to a localization company, even using tech and AI. And then they still, although they are integrating now AI, but still the core is the same. They protect the same mission. They understand people first, and then they build technology that understands the context and the dialects of each of the markets that whatever client approaches us. So yeah, I think that's the starting point. It's always about the people of the market.
Excellent, excellent. And I think thank you for bringing that to the forefront, because Dorothy, you're next. You're well-traveled, you cover an amazing number of global markets. Obviously, I share with you the fact that we are both from Africa at some point, and as well as Habiba. So there is a lot of huge requirement for customization across your whole global market. So what does it take for a global brand like yourself, for example, to successfully embed cultural intelligence into its digital strategy beyond just adapting content?
Thanks a lot, Mazin, and good afternoon, everyone. This topic is really, really close to my heart, and a little bit of background. I look after our marketing advisory practice for Visa Sub-Saharan Africa across 48 markets, working with banks and fintechs, and really advising them on how to scale from a marketing point of view, and obviously a lot of data involved in that, and performance marketing. And for me, when we talk about culture-first digital strategies, I think it's important to move away from the interpretation that localization is the adaptation of content. Consumers today are not looking for translation. They are actually looking for interpretation. They're looking for interpretation of within their context of their lived reality. And they're expecting brands to really understand the nuances that they operate under, and the context that they operate under. And I think when brands start to embed, cultural intelligence into their digital strategies, it moves them from just being a brand that is present in a market to a brand that actually belongs in that market. And I think another key thing is to understand cultural signals. And once you understand those cultural signals, you then develop your digital content around those signals, not only reflective of the signals, but respecting those signals. Some of my work that I do across the continent, I work with in many different countries that are very different in terms of maturity of digital transformation. And the one thing is common across all of those markets, the way in which they need to connect with consumers in consumers or different segments in that particular market. It's very rooted on understanding the cultural aspects of what drives the behaviors within that market. So if brands start to understand the emotional drivers of behavior, the emotional drivers of buying behavior, as an example, they are then able to create and to connect with those different segments in a very authentic way. A lot of conversation this morning was about authenticity. You cannot go, for example, to a market like Nigeria as a global brand like Visa and not talk about Afrobeats. I'm just giving an example. I had a scenario just 2-3 weeks ago in a French-speaking market where one of the big programs that we are working on with Visa at the moment is AFCON and FIFA. And a client asked me, why am I showing them a creative that has a shirt, a football shirt, that is not from their country? It was that emotional for them. So I think when we start to understand what culture means in the context of the person that we're talking to, you then are able to design your digital strategies around those cultural nuances that mean a lot to them. And that meaning is what drives the connection.
Very interesting. And I think I like the fact that you brought up CQ and the emotional drivers. I think those two, cultural intelligence and emotional drivers, to be incorporated to actually reach out in a very diverse set of markets. So coming to, let me come to Vinoth Subramanian. How do you balance global consistency with local cultural expectations when building a digital product?
Hello everyone. First of all, I'm Vinoth. I'm a product manager, and I've been in the space for around 15 plus years, and I work with the global brands like Carrefour, Nike, Under Armour. So in my experience, it all starts with you first need to know what needs to be at the global level, on global layer, and what can stay local. So, for example, global layer is brand identity or even security or performance. All of this gives a customer a satisfaction or like comfort where, oh, okay, I am with this brand. But the local layer is where the traction happens, where customer customer are happy to go ahead with the local layer. So that's where the key. So in my experience, I would say there are three key things that plays a major role. The first one is listen to the market. So through the data, through customer interviews, or even through feedback loops, any feedback loops basically. And then when you build a system, you need to build it modular. So what I mean by modular is you build a framework. That framework sets common across, but you also have an option to customize or maybe features that works specifically for this region. And third one is the important one. It's basically testing and then constant feedback. The customer expectation keep changing. It's keep evolving. So what works for today may not work for tomorrow or even a long run. So you got to be in the field always, listen to the customer constantly, and then make this change. So I think these three are the key things that would basically help global consistency with the local experience.
Excellent. And I hope the audience is taking notes because we're gonna finish 2 rounds of questions, and you guys gonna ask a question. So be prepared. So what Vinoth is telling you, the voice of the market or the voice of the customer is key to trickle down and listen to these signals as mentioned by Dorothy. Those signals is what you need to pick up as you design your product. So well done on actually complementing each other. So Vinoth, you are in supply chain and you're very familiar with manufacturing and stuff like that, where you see it's not only the marketing that you need to localize, but also the production. How do you see digital localization influencing future supply chain?
Hi everyone. Good evening here. I'm Vinoth. I lead technology initiatives at Immensa. So at Immensa, what we do is we digitize critical spare parts for oil and gas and energy. And for Immensa, the brand promise itself is localization, building local content, securing your spare parts and cutting off lead time, and enabling manufacturing within the in-country. So what we do is really we respect and we are backed up with government-led initiatives like in-country value for UAE, and for KSA we have something called ECTIBA. So these kind of initiatives are really backing up and giving us a kind of a guideline regulatory. So it becomes as an heart of our company to deliver local content at the production level. So when you talk about supply chain today, it's about there are two things. Like one, you can buy it from your original equipment manufacturer, or you have to produce it locally through advanced technologies. So we do something called additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, which is basically metal production, which is very complicated and it's a high concept engineering. So through this journey, it's where we do the marketing is a little bit different. The strategy behind acquiring a customer is quite different, basically. So what we do is we do assessments of their inventory to understand, and then give them the right candidates of which kind of spare parts or which category of spare parts should be digitized. Number two is basically we conduct workshops, educate people about the advanced manufacturing technologies, what is the value behind it, how we prove that it is really fast and unreliable compared to the original equipment manufacturing, and giving them clear transparency of the journey, what we do, what kind of reverse engineering processes we follow, and what kind of playbooks that we create, where we say it's not about manufacturing through Immensa. It could be manufactured by any local manufacturer who we build a content called MTS, which are very technical deliverable, which also acts like kind of a marketing tool for us today. And like it's about approaching each and every customer in different way. And this is like it's not only a news, even a newsletter also. It's very difficult to segment. It's about B2B, and it's quite we need to really understand, culturally understand them, and because today's world, like the oil and gas companies and energy sectors in the region, are looking for localization and looking to be number one is the localization. Number two is more of a contingency plan for them. If something happens, the supply chain breaks because of the current situation, which is completely unpredictable. So how can I make sure my operations don't break and that shutdown happens? What we do. So that's where I mean I have multiple experiences over there. It cannot be kind of formulated into a structured instructions, but it's through experiences what we found, and we created a playbook how to approach different segments. And localization is at the heart of our company actually.
Excellent. And thank you for bringing those two important points that global companies look for, the localization and the contingency planning, especially in the headwinds we are facing now geopolitically. So it's very interesting to bring that. So I'm sticking around with you, Vinoth, because I think the question that I want to ask you in terms of the mistakes, what are the biggest mistakes, or what is the biggest mistake companies make when they're trying to go local?
Yeah, the biggest mistakes, what I feel personally, would be treating, all markets the same, basically. So for us, we work with global companies like in US and Europe. Plus, we work with local in-country companies like in the region where ADNOCs and Aramcos and PDOs. So our digital strategy, the marketing strategy for these two different companies has to be quite different. If we treat the same, it is going to be a huge mistake. We learned it through mistakes, basically. And we have two different segments, basically. Like one, we have end users, and one we have original equipment manufacturers. Like, for example, Schlumberger's, if they don't want to set up currently the ADNOCs, they want people to have ICV score. So if they have a low ICV score, they don't want to set up a manufacturing plant here. So what they can do, they can work with us to produce their parts on demand. They can create their own digital inventories, and we can digitize their parts. So OEMs has to be treated in a different way. They are like more of a global corporate strategy. Maybe a single playbook will work for them. But when we work with end users, and every different region has a different regulations, because we work with critical spare parts, which is like a very confidential information, and the data residencies in different countries are quite different. So since I'm leading technology, for me, it's more about managing the data, like where should I host the data. Even it's a SaaS platform. We want to build a B2B marketplace, but we are at the stage of capturing data, creating that spare part database where we can create a marketplace where two different companies can exchange each other and produce on demand. That's the vision.
So interesting that you made the distinction between locally bred and globally entered, I guess, globally infiltrated companies. So that's very interesting. Let me also bring. I'm gonna bring Vinoth, because how will AI and personalization reshape the culture first? Maybe in very short, answer, bullet point, or sorry, one bullet point or 2 bullet points max. What would be, or how will AI and personalization reshape culture first digital experience?
Okay, I think I can't summarize in 2. Maybe I'll go for 3. Okay, so the first thing is hyper personalization. So what I mean is soon that we both might be sitting next to each other and accessing your website, but we both will see completely different content. Like the homepage, PLP, PDP, everything is going to be different. So that's mainly on hyper personalization. AI going to play a huge role in here. And then the second thing that I can think of is around cultural thing. So where AI predicts the things faster than human, right? So I'm sure in near future, it's going to give cultural insight to the brand. And then brands, currently I would say they are reactive, but going forward, it's going to be proactive. And then last but not least, I would say real-time localization. So what I mean, like we talked about localization, right? It's going to be, I would say, real-time personalization as well. Not even localization. It's the next level is real-time personalization, where currently, if you wanted a Arabic journey or any personalization, there's a development happens, there's a timeline. It's a fixed model, right? But what I think in near future, it's just going to be runtime. AI detects, okay, you are from this background, you have this experience, or you from your browser, I can see this is your history. So this is how I'm going to serve you the content, and which will really be making the conversion faster.
Excellent, excellent. And you've listened to that, Karan. So you've listened to the three tips of how AI and personalization will reshape culture, and Vinoth also told you about the common mistakes that either big companies from outside are committing here, or local companies are also having those mistakes. From your point of view, Karan, what is required to localize digital experiences at scale?
Correct. Actually, it's a question that ties into our discussion earlier. So brands, need cultural intelligence tool. When I say brand, not just brand, but the creative agencies too. Besides that, they require the local talents, they require the regional insights, as well as a robust workflow itself. And these are only possible if you have a very intelligent AI localization engine that would come in play. Now, one of the examples I like to give is a lot of the creative agencies here in the region, they have global accounts. So an agency working in the UAE would manage, let's say, a market in Egypt or South Africa or anywhere else, where the cultures are different, the asks are different, and the models is quite different. And a person, or rather a creative team working or located very much in the UAE cannot understand that level, or cannot understand the engagement with their audiences at that level. So they use a lot of AI-based or AI, tech to make sure that the creatives are put across very well in front of the audiences. And that's the reason why that the AI has been adopted so well within the agencies and the brand circle itself. Yeah.
Excellent. So I think that addresses Dorothy directly, because you're a global company and digital transformation is so fast. How can brands like yours ensure their global experience still remain as consistent locally, or truly representative locally?
Great question. I think, digital transformation, what it brings is it brings efficiency, it brings standardization, and it brings, the ease within which, work happens. But I think what we've got to be careful of is that speed can actually lead to disconnect with people. And I think there's three things that I think need to happen, maybe four. The first one is, I think we need as an industry to find a way to capture insights differently. Move away from psychographics and demographics. They still have a role to play. But how do we capture real and tangible and relevant insights, tapping into those cultural norms, those cultural signals that I spoke about? The second thing I think as global brands is we need to empower local teams and work with them, or at least include them when we're creating our strategies. Gone are the days when you receive a toolkit and you've got to work with it. Let's build with the local teams and upfront, make sure that some of those key cultural codes are captured. And I think the global brand's role is to provide the tone and the narrative. The local market brings the flavor, the nuance, and the difference. And we want to get to a point where culture becomes the differentiator. And I think there's a reason why today the creator economy is a multi-billion dollar industry. It's because the creators they are onto something in terms of really being rooted to understanding communities and people. And I think the more we co-create with those creators, the more we're able to scale, but scale a global concept at a local level. So for me, co-creation with creators becomes the localization sweetener.
Excellent, excellent. I hope the audience is taking notes. You're coming after Habiba. So co-creation, empowerment, and insight, capturing insight differently. Remember those three as well. So Habiba, we close with you as saving best for last. If I look at what we've heard so far, and we've seen also some great points coming out from Vinoth, Karan, and Dorothy. My question to you, as AI becomes the primary mediator of how people discover and interact with brands, how should companies rethink cultural relevance when machines, not humans, are interpreting their identity?
Thank you very much, Mazin, again. So yeah, I think each and everyone here in this hall, I think all of us use ChatGPT or even any other LLMs or AI models. So this is actually what Mazin meant when he said that AI is becoming the mediator or the primary interface between us and between the brands. So it's no longer us, then the brand. No, it's now humans or people, and then AI, and then brands. People are no longer researching Google, or actually the percentage of researching Google is really getting very, declined. And using the AI tools and everything like Gemini and Perplexity, ChatGPT, and everything now is the ultimate tool for people to search about an information or a brand. So having that said, it means that the cultural relevance is no longer a creative issue or a creative challenge. It's currently a data challenge. So if you feed your AI, or if you feed the AI in general, AI models or whatever tool, if you feed it, healthy or relevant information about your brand, it's definitely going to convey the exact information to the users. So it all depends on what actually do you feed your AI. But AI doesn't understand what us as human understands. It doesn't understand logos. It doesn't understand the campaign that you have spent millions on. It doesn't even recognize the influencer that you have got to manage your campaign. So it understands languages. It understands algorithms, special languages, of course. So it means that you need to have your data recognized by machines, not just the creative data that we have been throughout our entire lives and my entire career in marketing have been writing content. So you now have to adapt your everything related to marketing, your content, to both humans, just in case someone is going to, just aside information, it has been said in recent studies that people are increasingly, how can I say, I don't just want to terrify you, but at some point we will reach a point that there are some websites that are going to be live, but no one will check it at all. Never, like website with zero traffic. People at least now, no one goes like for the second or third page on Google. And of course, we all know this. So practically, if we're gonna take it by step, if your brand identity isn't encoded, then it will not explain or represent your brand to humans. This is the first thing. So we need to build cultural relevance according to specific understanding of language model, LLMs. This is the first point. The second thing is that AI personalizes your brand according to each user. So you might see that every and each user or customer will experience a different angle of your brand. That's why we need to build AI native, flexible, and wide brand frameworks that will definitely go and match the context and understand the context, but not go far beyond it or even miss the actual core identity of your brand. The second thing. The third thing that also, if the AI misinterprets your, not yours, I mean, if it misinterprets norms or jokes or humor or even the culture itself, it will definitely, people will blame the brand, not AI, although the information is purely out of AI. And of course, all of us has experienced the hallucinations of AI and the models. So it means that new jobs will arise as well. jobs of bias conductor indicators and people who have to monitor all the outcomes of AI and consistently fine-tune it. So I think the major thing here is we need to, as marketeers or content creators or even the CEOs of the companies, I think the question will shift from how do we want to be seen to how does the machine see us and represents us? Because now for culture, even in cultural relevance, it's no longer about what you say, it's about what the machine will say about you to anyone who searches about your brand.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you. So looking out to the audience and for the sake of just bringing you on board, you have a question there. So the rules of the game, your name, your organization. So we have 1 and we have 2. Excellent. And 3, just make it quick. I have a meeting. Just kidding.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ammar Sajjad. I'm from Saudi Arabia, working as a procurement head in my company called Mansour Al Musaid. My question is for Ms. Habiba. I remember your counter at GITEX. It says the first agentic AI platform. We recently planned to go for DMS, Document Management System, and our main limitation in Saudi Arabia was there was no AI or ChatGPT or any platform that was 100% accurate to read handwritten Arabic. So how far do you think Arabic AI is doing on this accuracy part of, you can say that, your platform?
And I will lock you for 60 seconds, Habiba. Go ahead. 60 seconds.
Sure, start counting. Thank you so much for your question. And yes, we've been in GITEX. So basically, at Arabic.AI, just a brief overview so people can understand the context. I used to work at a company called Terjema that later evolved into a company called Arabic.AI. Terjema started as a translation and localization company and took the 17 years of experience, 17 years of curated data created by humans, actual humans, and used all this data to fine-tune a large language model that understands Arabic in all dialects, except Arabic dialects, except some Moroccan and Algerian dialects. So I think 22 dialects in the MENA region, GCC and other as well. So, and then recently we got the major success that we had for our Arabic LLM, that it was when we benchmarked our LLM, the Arabic LLM, against other global players like ChatGPT and DeepSeek and Cohere, it outperformed these 3 global players in Arabic context, of course, Arabic text processing. So going back to your question regarding the healthcare, so we have built multiple use cases in healthcare, and definitely handwritten OCR, which is optical character recognition, would help doctors and pharmacists and all people who works in the healthcare sector to recognize easily the handwritten, scripts or whatever the things that would be written by doctors, and definitely they can be automated inside. Like you can just recognize them. The machine, of course, the AI or the computer or the laptop can definitely recognize them easily, even if they are written in Arabic or even if they are written in English as well, because we support other languages. Something else related to healthcare that we're gonna launch very soon, which is the real-time translation and real-time speech to speech, which means that the patient can speak in whatever language, especially here in the MENA region. For example, let's give a dialect, like the GCC, there are multiple dialects, but if we're gonna choose one, as you are talking about Saudi, so the Saudi dialect, if the patient is Saudi and the doctor speaks any other language, for example, English, and they do, both of them would, at the same time, the machine would get back the language translated and in speech as well, not just text, and vice versa, of course.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping it under 60 minutes. So that's good. Thank you, Habiba. Next question, quickly, your name and organization.
Osama Murad, VP of AI and Data Science at MEG. I have a master degree from MIT at AI, and I have PhD at the same field. However, I am one of those who hates the AI craziness happening right now. When you open LinkedIn, you will find all the posts similar. You will find everyone is talking about the same subject on a similar way. I'm afraid this will happen as well to brands when they start using AI more and more. So my question is, what's your advice? How can each company keep their brand identity and at the same time they are using AI?
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have anybody preference? Do you wanna?
No, I'm fine. With
Okay.
anyone.
Anybody
Thank
wants
you.
to take this? And by the way, send me your CV, just in case.
I'll take that question. Earlier on, I spoke about culture. I'll still go back there and say that the more we are able to tap into the cultural signals of the market we're trying to get into as a brand, the more those cultural nuances create the differentiation for us or for you as a brand. You can still utilize AI to make it to make the work faster and to create the different touch points. But your starting point is a deep cultural insight that you have got from your understanding of the market. Don't know if anyone else wants to add.
So regarding the brand, there are two elements when you look at it. One is the image, the visual. The other is the copywriting on that front, right? So from an agency background, these are two separate elements. When you mentioned that LinkedIn has a similar post, yes, it is all created by AI. The content is around that, and people are actually very lazy to humanize it. That's the point, right? And there are a lot of AI tools that would help you to humanize a content when you actually give the right prompts. When you look at the brand part, the brand visual can be make it actually in terms of an amazing AI visual. Yes, it looks real. But the copywriting on the back, when you're localizing it or putting it in English or Arabic, has to be done by a copywriter, human, whereas the context can be taken from an AI. But ultimately, a human has to work on the brand positioning, which will give you the desired results. That's what it is.
Excellent. Third question, name and organization.
Yeah, hi. My name is Tejaswini and I work for IID. My question is more on the cultural front, right? In a market like MENA or like Dubai, where there are multiple nationalities coexisting, what is that one cultural nuance or what is that one cultural insight that we incorporate into our marketing strategies?
Very good question. One cultural insight means one bullet point, means 30 seconds. Who wants to take that? Vinoth and Vinoth, I'm looking at you because you're the ones, any cultural nuisance, nonce, or one item that needs to be addressed. Go ahead, Habiba.
Hello, hi, how are you? So basically, I think from my point of view, it should be something that is worldwide known. So I'll definitely move to the English language with some of, because since in the GCC already, the original language is Arabic. And this is actually what we do. Like, still, our name is Arabic.AI, but we're addressing multiple nationalities. So it's widely used, the English language, but still for Arabic and still we apply Arabic, but for like 25% of our communications. And for the other languages, we started doing other, of course, like around extra or more 5 languages, just in case they are asked for. But we don't use them in public, but just in public, our language is definitely English. And I think all brands should do this, especially in a market like Dubai.
Excellent. Very good question. Go ahead.
Just to add to that, as you said, it's multicultural, right? So before even push any contents, we need to make sure what the nationality is behind, like who's the customer. So if you know the customer, if you can identify the customer, then all falls into place. As a first step, I think in terms of AI world, the first problem is data, right? So if that is right, anything that you build on top of it is going to be right.
Excellent, excellent. Last question. I think we have one more here. 2? Okay. Name and organization.
Good afternoon. My question is, you mentioned that we need to enable the local teams to do their creativity and come up with the right content. And you also mentioned that the headquarters groups will give the flavors and the local team will give the spices. I like that sentence. I'm going to steal it. Dorothy, thank you. What are your advice in 2 points? First point is recruitment, as in you are in a group and you want to recruit in markets. The second is what is the knowledge sharing as you are in a group and you have the flavor, and how do you give that flavor into the market for them to respect your branding while you leave them the space for the spices. So some of you have long-term brands and you have jumped into a brand that was created and you just take along, but some of us are building the brand and from doing it from the first place correctly that allows this.
Excellent. Name an organization.
Sorry, I'm working for Syntis in Qatar. We are a data centers company.
Excellent. Very good question. So recruitment and knowledge sharing into the local market. By the way, your CV needs to go there as well. But anybody wants to pick this one up? What is your advice?
All right. Hi. Thank you for the question. I think I strongly believe that the global brand still needs to hold the position of defining the blueprint. It's a global organization because you need to see some sort of consistency across the multiple markets that they operate in. But the criticality of showing up as a global brand in a local context is key. And I like the question that you asked, that how do we recruit to make sure that we have that knowledge in the market? I think if you define what skills you're looking for and you recruit locally and obviously train your teams locally and upskill them in terms of them understanding what the brand is trying to do at a global level and why they are doing it and what it means for them in terms of how they interpret. So you still need guidelines in terms of how they interpret the vision locally. So for example, they cannot, play with your brand colors, as an example, your brand tone. But that brand tone can be adapted to a local way in which people understand and consume, the content or the message in that context. A lot of work needs to happen to make sure that the brand blueprint is understood by those local teams. It's not just about the colors. It's about what the colors are saying and meaning so that the interpretation has context in it. I hope I've answered the question.
Excellent. Very good question. Does that satisfy your answer? Somewhat? Maybe you can. Okay, no problems. During the break, you can also network. So for the sake of time, just one more.
I will take a question offline. No
As you like. Throw it out. If you want 30-second answer.
Okay, no, I'll ask the question. You spoke about Vinoth Thangavelu, about spare market, because we're talking localization for global. The example which you give that we design and you import it. But do you do also that preventive analysis? Do the why failure has happened, then we redesign it, remanufacturing, that's become the localization.
I think that question for Vinoth. Your name and organization, so he can send you the CV.
No, I don't need CD.
Okay.
I'm Rabindra, I'm CTO at Indian Register of CPing.
Okay, great.
Yeah, with respect to redesign, is through our process, basically the whole process of identifying a part, digitizing it, and reverse engineering it, and creating the manufacturing and testing specifications. So at each milestone, we have a quality control in place, basically. So, and there are standards when you talk about the MTS, the manufacturing testing specifications. So each and every line item has been written and has been audited by companies like DNV, APIs, which is American Petroleum Institute. So there is a different checkpoints. Basically, it has to go through, and we have an in-house, because like as a part of our value deliverable is to make sure that we create the right design which would be produced all over the world. Yeah, universally. Thank you.
Excellent. So do continue the discussion during the break. So thank you for the last question. I want to thank the audience, the host for bringing us, the partners, and the great venue that has been hosting us, and the greatest panelists in the whole day. So thank you so much. Let's put our hands together for the greatest panel.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, thanks to the moderator for, moderating a wonderful session. So can we have a big round of applause for the wonderful speakers and closing of the panel discussion third. So can you please all come together forward so that we can take a group fee and the memories from 6 DMAT CONFEX Dubai. So kindly follow hashtag DMAT Dubai to receive the updates of today's conference.